Thanks everybody for joining. Today is going to, this market analysis for October 31st. Oh, wow. It's October 31st. How do you know? All right. So what we're going to be talking today, we're going to be talking about the collapse of the Canadian dollar today. I have up here, this is the chart for the US dollar against the Canadian dollar. So how many Canadian dollars does it take to buy a US dollar? Now, this chart, from a technical perspective, we are consolidating. We've got a high right here. These most previous high, we got three of them, in fact. Let's bring up this one. There we go. We got three major highs right here. The first time that it occurred was in January of 2016. Then again, bumped up against that in March of 2020, right after COVID. Then again, it's butted up against that most recently, February 2025. And it is pushing up again against this intermediary resistance. It's now that looking like it's going to continue to go up towards that all-time high, or that, not that all-time high, but that most previous high. All-time high goes back, the data that I have, goes back to 2002, where it was a high of $100.59, almost $1.60. Let's just double check, make sure there wasn't $1.60. Yeah, just $1.59.7. So, with that being the case, the reason why I'm expecting it to not maintain this is because we have to take a quick step back and remember the beginning of the year, right after Trump's inauguration, he started using the language patterns that made it sound like Canada was going to become the 51st state. In fact, he used those words exactly. Mm-hmm. When we look at where we are in the whole scope of things, this is about the digital ID. This is about getting people to identify themselves as someone else's property. That's what this whole agenda is. Because the American economy is now so precarious, essentially built only on the backbone of the work done by NVIDIA right now. We look at the $500 billion that was dedicated towards the plan to carry out the Genius Act, to invest into AI. I think it was Project Stargate, if I remember correctly, was the name of that $500 billion commitment. We recognize that the states are making a sizable effort to maintain dominance in the markets, on the international playing field. As such, I expect the pattern that they have had in the past of going to war to boost their economy, I expect that to happen again. When that happens, because Canada is not a formidable force at all, and because of the, bringing in another element of this, Carney, his job is to bankrupt countries. That's his job. That's what he does. That's what he goes around doing when he traipses across the countryside with Brookfield. In fact, if you take a look at Wayne's content on What's Up Canada over the past couple of weeks, he has created a great context for people to recognize that Brookfield basically runs Canada now. And that's Carney's company. Well, his job in the in bankrupting Canada, in destroying it, again, people have the idea that the Prime Minister of Canada is there to do a good job. No, I mean, yeah, to do a good job of what, though? Not taking care of the country. His job is to decimate it. That's there's a reason why the UK Parliament calls him Carnage. It's because That's what he did to Britain before coming to Canada. So since it's his job to decimate Canada, then we know that the US dollar is going to go up in value against the Canadian dollar, meaning you're going to need a lot of Canadian dollars to get a US dollar. The US dollar is already going to experience inflation. This is bringing up the Dow Jones Industrial Index. We've talked about this chart at great length over the last couple of weeks. This crash here, that was COVID. We're going to see the similar thing happen here again. This little bit down, this downward turn that we had there at the beginning of April, that, or from February going into April, that was nothing. That was tiny. This kind of thing is going to occur again, and the US dollar is going to be inflated. In fact, we saw that they wanted to reduce the balance sheet, which means they need to, they're going to cease balance sheet reduction. That's the full term. They call it that. Basically, it means that they're going to, they're not going to hold the printers back anymore in December. So starting December 1st, the printers are going to have to go back into overtime, inflating the US dollar. But because the US is going to also be going into a state of war, and whether that's soldiers on the ground or AIs battling it out on the interwebs, it matters not. The impression will be that the US economy is healthy because of the spending. And so as a result, the US dollar is going to look more valuable than the Canadian dollar as we go through this next phase. So I'm going to bring back the US dollar against the Canadian dollar again, and we're going to discuss what happens when this currency collapses. When it collapses, first things first, it will rise above that most previous high that goes back all the way from 2016, and it's going to go above that and probably head up towards $1.60 to $1.70 right out of the gate. Then it'll come back, find support where we are now, and then continue to rise. So something along the lines of this. And there's Corey. So with the Canadian dollar going into this pattern here, it will not be advantageous for people to hold on to cash. One of the reasons I think that there's a lot of programming language within the media, and I'm speaking most predominantly of the alt media, the alternative media is encouraging people to hold on tight to their cash. Don't go cashless. Resist the cashless society. Don't get the digital ID. Fear, 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 fear. Hold on to cash because it's king. The fact of the matter is people who hold on to cash contribute to the problem. And it's not against them. It's just they don't know any better. If they are holding on to cash, they make the problem worse because that cash goes down in value as they hold it. So things are just going to get more and more expensive. Now, again, I want to reiterate, yes, the US dollar is also going to be inflating, but it's not going to be inflating at the same rate as the Canadian dollar. So I'm going to see here if I can bring up a Canadian gold chart. No, it's not letting me bring up metals against the Canadian dollar. But the point of the reason why I want to bring that up is to see if I could show you in a chart the acceleration of the Canadian dollar with gold is going to be greater than the acceleration of the inflation of US dollar to the gold, which means that it will be advantageous for people to hold something other than Canadian dollars instead of cash. If you're holding on to the Canadian dollar because you need it for things, that's fine. And great if it's, $500, $1,000 here and there. Have it on hand. But I'm going to be encouraging people to have at least 50%, again, 50% of their cash holdings, to have it in the US dollar, because it won't inflate as fast. It's terrible situation to be in. All of the currencies are inflating because it's the transition time. It's time to get people to go on into cryptos. The war of the stable coins is fast approaching. As such, the fiat that we hold is going to drop in value, and it simply will turn into a strategy of having currencies, fiat currencies, that will not inflate as much, but still allow you to have that liquid flexibility of cash. Pause for a second and we can talk about this. I want to people bring up questions about this. What's unclear about this for you? Because in order for me to present the strategy that I would use, the tools that I would use to complete this, I would like to hear what people are thinking about this. The Canadian dollar is going to accelerate in inflation to a greater degree than the US dollar, meaning that if you want to hold on to cash, I recommend that it not be all Canadian dollars. Which means it won't be cold hard cash like you are typically used to hearing, again, from the programming that we get from the alt media. The alt media is in on this nonsense. Dominantly, the programming language, the algorithm is delivering content to people to keep them in a state of fear. And the digital ID creates a lot of fear for people because they don't know how identification works. They don't even know how to identify themselves, let alone how to identify themselves with digital IDs.
Right. What is a woman?
Yeah, exactly.
So my question is within this, then, a lot of thought will be around the exchange from Canadian to US. Like, I mean, it's horrible. Does that just mean that it's going to get even worse? The
Yes.
exchange between the Canadian dollar and the US dollar, right? Like, I mean, those who are in that world where, oh man, I'm going to have to buy some stuff, whatever is from the States, and the exchange is going to kill me kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So it would be better to get everything in US dollars then.
It would be advantageous. I recognize that getting it all into US dollars is not that convenient. The only way that I would recommend people do that is if they are using Wise religiously.
Mm-hmm.
That app. Mm-hmm. If you're using Wise, you can change it from US dollars into Canadian literally at the point of purchase. Mm-hmm. Which makes it that convenient where it's like, okay, my cash is here. And it's cash, and yes, it's digital cash. That's fine. It's a digital world. Everything's digital. We're not going to escape that.
No.
And when it's the US digital dollar, although it will inflate, you will recognize that your cash will have more purchasing power than if it just sits in Canadian. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that's how I would do it. I would do it with Wise, because it's the easiest way to switch back and forth between the two. Now, another option, and this is going to need to be determined by you, and I would even run both, is that you would hold, instead of going to Wise and holding the cash in the US dollar, you may find it advantageous to use ShakePay and convert your Canadian dollar into USDC, because ShakePay, although it's a Canadian exchange, remember it was about 6 months ago, they added the capacity for you to get the stablecoin USDC. It's an Ethereum layer 2 stablecoin, and it stays pegged to the US dollar. So you could have that sitting there in liquid as USDC in your ShakePay account, which then would allow you to quickly switch it over to Canadian dollars at the point of purchase.
So then you're saying it's better in ShakePay than in Wise even?
Better, I don't know. You know, it when you are in ShakePay, you're going to have a little bit more. You're going to have a little bit more transaction fees. With Wise, I treat Wise. I consider Wise to be much like Coho, and I would expect that Wise will make it difficult for you to bridge into crypto. Whereas ShakePay, it's a crypto exchange. So you have one less step if you wanted to bring cryptos into the ecosystem. It's far easier to bring your cryptos into USDC in ShakePay than it is to put your cryptos all the way over to Wise and then bring it back in for purchase, right? So it would be just fewer steps with ShakePay, but you're going to have a little bit higher of a transaction fee.
So it's half a dozen of one and the other, whatever, right? Depends on what you're doing.
Depends on what you're doing. How much are you doing at a time? You know, I would say that if it's under $1,000, you might as well just use ShakePay. And the reason why is because you would want to have it where you've got Canadian dollars and US dollars about 50-50. If you're in Wise, I would have Canadian dollars and US dollars about 50-50. In ShakePay, I would just keep it in USDC and then quickly switch it over when I need to make a purchase in Canadian. And you're still going to have some Canadian on the side. It's inevitable. You're going to have Canadian dollars devaluing. This is just a strategy to be mindful of as the Canadian currency is being deliberately collapsed from underneath us, to recognize the opportunities to manage that risk with some prudent trades.
Okay. Still having to process that.
This is a whole different way of thinking. It really is. And ask lots of questions through the process, because that's why we mastermind, right? Because we need to collaborate on how we're going to accomplish this together. You know, the other thing is that I believe we're going to see a need for people to silo their wealth into different things, simply because we need to distribute the risk across several assets, right? Like, have some gold and silver, have some cryptos, have some US dollars. In Wise, it would even be advantageous. Like another currency that I think we're going to see an emerging market is Vietnam. Vietnam has the dong, they call it, DONG. And USD dong, let's see if I can bring up that one. USD, let's see, Vietnam maybe. Vietnamese.
Wise has dong. Wise has the Vietnamese.
Yes, that's right. And the dong, I think, is going to do better than the US dollar. But again, Wise does not make it easy for you to get back into. Oh, here we go. US dollar dong. look at this chart. It just keeps on going up. And the reason why is because they are what's called an emerging market. You can't get you could go to your bank. You can't get the dong. You have to find a broker. You can't exchange local currencies for dong. You have to get a broker to get that currency for you. Or Wise now allows you to make that transfer. So you could hold dong and watch it grow. I mean, the dong, just since COVID, the dong has gone up 15%. And in currency terms, that's a lot. I know some people who, and I have a little bit too. I think I've got about 300,000 dong. And if when there is a revaluation and energy contracts get reevaluated, that 300,000 dong that I have could very well be ending up being $500,000, $600,000 Canadian. Now, whether or not that does me any good at that point, I don't know. But I just know that what did I buy that for? I probably bought that 300,000 dong for $1,000 back in 2014, 2015. Right? So that $1,000 worth of dong could be worth $500,000 worth Canadian at a time where I could really use more than $1,000. I can't believe it. I swear to God, Bill Gates's mosquitoes are in the house. No, it's November tomorrow, and there's a mosquito on the window.
Well, but that's tomorrow. Today's still October.
Okay. It's still alive, so it might not be Bill Gates's mosquito. If it's alive tomorrow, though, I swear.
What it sounds like, Paul, is that we need to be open-minded and flexible, almost fleet of foot with our willingness to move our assets around.
Yes, you need to be very agile.
And that's what I need to learn.
The agility.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. You know what? I just thought of something else too. If my situation's different because I've set myself up to be debanked, right? And so I don't have things like a Bow Valley Credit Union. I don't have a TD, any of those things. I'm reliant completely on either Koho, well, things like Koho. Can't even do Koho anymore because they debanked me. ShakePay and Wise are the only two institutions with which I may trade the Canadian dollar digitally. And I'm okay with that. This has been a long time coming, and I'm prepared. Recognizing if I had, if I had to, I would say a good strategy would be to take all of the cash and split it up 50-50 between Wise and ShakePay. And in ShakePay, I would never hold the Canadian dollar. I would use it when the time came right and I get some US dollar. It's done well this week and I can use some of that to buy the coffee or buy the gas or whatever it is. And you switch it over to Canadian and make your purchase. Within Wise, you have more silos of flexibility. Within ShakePay, you got Canadian dollar, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and USDC. Within Wise, now you can access some of the other international currencies and just let them sit there for a while. I think in my Wise, I think I still have some Vietnamese dong there too.
So you know what I've just realized? I've just realized as you're talking about, your Koho and your Wise and your ShakePay and your, that, to be honest, most people avoid their finances.
Yes.
So they don't even look in their bank accounts every day. They don't even know what's going on. They know a bill's coming up, but do I have enough money in there? Or, they don't even know what they have in Canadian, let alone in the different, even if they have different banks that they deal with. Like I never really did until, I started kind of doing this. It was like, oh, just a bill needs to come out. Okay, just a bill. Oh, my paycheck's in there. Okay, it's in there. And then I didn't really overly look at it.
Hmm.
Just let life happen.
And the reason why is because the Canadian dollar, up until 2020, really was our stable coin. Yes, there was inflation, and we knew about the inflation, but we didn't have to think in terms of currency, what its purchase value was actually, or which its purchase power was actually doing. To any, like, this is such accelerated rate now. I mean, we take a look at the chart. The U.S. Canadian dollar. It doesn't reflect the inflation, but it'd be interesting to see. I'm gonna see. Sometimes TradingView I've found has, they shuffle around their charts a lot. Let's see if I can find the what's it called? It's a U.S. index.
To your comment, Audrey, I know at one point in time in my life, I was so specific with where my money went. Like I literally had an account for Christmas, for giving back to the church because I was a part of that association at the time, car payments. I had like 5 or 6 savings accounts, and every month money went in there. And what changed is when I got into debt. When I got into debt, then that has tripped me into fear of, oh shit, I can't pay. Like I'm in a position where I feel like I can't pay off my debt, or if I did pay off my debt, I would have nothing. And then what do I do for monies coming in? Because things are just a little tight at the moment. So, full disclosure, that's where I have been, where it's easier not to see than it is to see and be scared out of my pants.
Yeah. Well, that's most people though. That's most of Canada are in debt. And so they'd rather go like this, I don't want to look at it. It's like health. People go, this ache, this pain, this, this
Not that
symptom.
bad. I can deal with it.
I can deal with that. No big deal. It's not bad. I'm just gonna ignore it until, right? That's finances. That's even relationships. Like, I mean, the same thing, right? We as our species here like to hide things and not even look at them. So the finances were like, wow, let's
It's
just
a symptom of everything else.
hide it because it's terrifying. Instead of taking that responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like the 4 of us right here looking at this right now, we're taking responsibility for ourselves in all of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very interesting that there's only 4 of us here.
Well, we were just talking about this earlier. Audrey Lynn and I were saying, it's like when you can share this information with people. Like I had a meeting with a gentleman a couple weeks ago. Incredible prospect, the perfect demographic for people that I can help the most with the least resistance. The best results could come from working with that gentleman. And he was even enthralled for the 90 minutes that we met. But to get him to take that next step, to get him to actually take that next, to actually initiate the contract, it's like pulling teeth from an elephant.
Mm-hmm.
Chickens have better teeth to pull.
Yeah.
Easier.
This chart here, I'm going to bring this up. This is what the chart that I was looking for. This is called the Consumer Price Index for urban consumers. So basically, the items that get purchased in populated areas, okay, because that's a very different thing than the things that get purchased rurally. But this index gives us an idea of the rate of inflation with a greater accuracy. And you can see this is not a logarithmic chart. This is now a normal chart to scale. And this goes back to 1947. So from 1947, oh, excuse me, that was breakfast. 1947 to 1972, inflation went up 77%. Now, again, that's less than 30 years. If we do that again from 72 and we go forward 30 years, let's go to 2000. Let's not even, because it's not even quite. It's 44 to 72. That is too short of 40 years. No, it's 35 years, 36 years. So 36 years onto 72, that takes us up to 2000, what? 2004? Yeah. Inflation now 352%. Why can anybody figure out why I say 1972 is that marker?
Well, that's when gold got the dollar got taken off the gold standard.
Bingo. 352%. So over 4 times the inflation since then. Oh, I won't be able to find out whether or not that's Bill Gates' mosquito now. Okay, so then the next thing is, okay, well, that was just
But it won't
20 years
It
ago.
won't be able to infect you with Bill Gates's.
Oh yeah, no, I won't get the bird flu now.
No, yeah.
In the last 20 years, it's 72%. And since COVID, you can see where there's March 2020. You can see where that line really got steep. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
Now the line is very steep. And since COVID, inflation is 25%. Now, again, that's the consumer price index. So the cost of living is what we're measuring here. This is going to continue. But if we were to bring up Canada's consumer price index, I don't think I can do that. But let's see if I can. CPI Canadian. No. CPI Europe. Yeah, I don't see Canada in here. But if this was a Canadian chart, it would be way worse going forward. Okay, right now, because again, the price goes back and forth. Like going back to that USD CAD, you can see, it just goes up and down, right? And even since 2016, when it was really bad, and then when it got the best it got was $1.20. And it's basically been consolidating between $1.20. Look, here's the $1.20 right here, up to that 2016 point. This was May of 2015. So this has just been consolidating ever since. But that makes sense. Trade partners, demographically, geographically, we're close together, all that good stuff. But remember, Carney's job is to make Canada worth less. Because someone's about to buy it. So the cheaper that deal can be, the happier the client will be. And
So
as
who's
such,
the client?
the client will be by proxy. By proxy, the client will be Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Trump still has another 3 years, right? Like he just only got elected not even a year ago. 5 days from now, it will be a year. So he still has 3 years left. Canada doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not only that, the elected, he didn't go into office until January 21st. So that's still 3 months away from a full year of his ability to impact the economy.
And just look what happens when he just opens his mouth and flaps his lips around and gets his tongue to make certain patterns. So we hear the vibration, the sound vibrational complex of tariff automatically. The entire market, gold, US 30, cryptos, everything just goes reeling. So 3 years of that. Now you're getting it. You're getting it. His job is to be there and scoop up Canada as the 51st state when it suits them, and they'll be able to do that with the digital IDs. Why do you think the USDC is in shake pay, for God's sake? It's because we're going that direction where the US dollar will be the means of exchange between all of us, like essentially kind of how the euro is in Europe.
I think with people being afraid of the digital ID is the reality of what they've heard in other countries of their identity, their ability to do commerce being turned off and not having another option. They don't know what else to do. So,
That's
okay,
exactly right.
I'll take the digital ID because I want to still be able to pay my rent and eat warm food.
Yep.
Interesting enough, that's what Wendell's oldest son did. He took the jab because, he still wanted to fly and do commerce, and 4 days later he died.
Oh.
Just saying.
Yep. Well, I remember telling this story last year when I was in, not this last May, the May before, I came to Drayton Valley there and spoke at the
Bourbon House. How
I was sharing the weight of going through 2021 going into 2022, the weight on my shoulders, not because I needed to carry it, but I felt such, I don't know what the word is. I don't know what the word is. It's like pity, but at the same time, disgust. When I was dealing with one lady who told me that she wanted to get around this whole thing. She didn't want to have to jab her son, but her son was 17 years old, an Olympian, and was competing in order to actually enter into the Olympics, and was competing all over the world. And she didn't want him to lose that opportunity. And obviously, if you've got a son that's 17 years old and he's good enough to compete to place in the Olympics, I can only imagine how much dedication, time investment that there has been. We hear about parents who are stressed out about driving their kids back and forth from hockey. You can bet your boots that an Olympian that is traveling from nation to nation in order to place in the Olympics, the commitment is even greater. And that's exactly what it boiled down to for her. I told her, I said, I'm not going to help you get a fake passport. I'm going to show you how to lawfully non-comply. She didn't like that. She wanted a fake passport. Why? Because, and I quote, "We've spent far too much." And the pity was there because it's like, oh my goodness. This isn't about yeah, sure, it's about the jab and the damage that it can do, but this was about the digital ID. What you're asking me to do is to create paperwork for you, fraudulent paperwork, to help your son identify himself as property of the state. That's what this was about. This had the depopulation. I'm on YouTube doing this. Frick. The depopulation agenda was the bonus, because they know that AI is going to be replacing most of the workforce and they don't want to pay UBI. That shit's expensive. So the depopulation program, that had to happen. But what they really wanted was to get people to identify themselves as someone else's property. That's what this was about. And I wouldn't help anybody do that. And that's where the pity and disgust, it's a very complex emotion. Pity, because it's like, oh no, I feel so bad that you're having to go through this. And disgust in, why don't you just save your son's life instead of focusing on him having to be an Olympian?
It was about the money that they invested in him. It wasn't about their
Yep.
son.
Yep, totally.
So did he make it, or did he die?
No idea, because again, like, I didn't help them, right? I didn't help them after that. But
Yeah.
it's but there you have it. And the same thing, the same programming language is already being brought forward for the next phase of this digital ID. You know, look at what happened after Charlie Kirk. Now it's like big time security push. It wasn't even 24 hours of his assassination, and Pam Bondi came forward talking about how we needed. Oh, this means that we're going to have stricter regulations on identification. Clearly, that's the problem. Like, that's why he died. He died because we don't have a good enough ID system. Come on. And the fact that people are falling for it tells me that the programming language of COVID worked. Whether you agreed with COVID or not, the programming language worked. It got people into that frame of mind that this is how reality unfolds.
It got them into the frame of mind, or shook them right out of it.
Correct. And
Right?
that is the fork.
It did that separation there, right? So speaking of that, I was talking with a lady yesterday. Do you happen to know any groups or any thing in Red Deer? Anybody in Red Deer?
Not that I'm aware of. I know of some people in Red Deer. I'm not sure if they have anything going on locally for community building.
Well, there's just a lady that's looking for somebody to connect with and be like-minded, like us in Red Deer. So
yep, you might start, and that's why I started. I know that Telegram channel is going to really start to evolve here over the next little while, especially as we get more conversation generated. Might be advantageous just to invite her there.
Okay, into the Telegram group. Okay.
Yeah.
And the Lodgepole group is doing some interesting things.
Yeah.
Like what?
Well, they're doing the PMA stuff. They're doing the similar to what we're doing. They just have a bigger group.
Yep.
Right? Not that they're doing everything the same, right? But I've just been going to their, and Paul, it might be advantageous for you to go to their meetings and just see what they're talking about. Right? I think you're in their group, aren't you?
I'm not a member. Nope.
Well,
and I'm not a part of any of their chat groups.
You have to be a member. Just as long as you're like-minded, you can get on their calls.
Yes.
And, find out what they're doing.
It would be advantageous to get a pulse on it anyway.
Yes.
I know that there is some history there, unfortunately, with that organization that goes back to when they were in Edmonton.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, though, that I'm learning is that even though we have history, even though we have things that we don't agree on, I feel we're going to need each other.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And so it's almost like, okay, so this history happened. Let's have a conversation so that we can move forward, because we're going to need each other. So I'm not sure if there's not that you have to fix those bridges, but it's just figuring out how to be able to work somehow together moving forward. Because we're going to need them and they're going to need us.
Yep.
Everybody's going to, all of us are going to need each other
Mm-hmm.
because there is less, unfortunately, of us than there is of the trained, programmed ones,
Yes.
right?
Yes, absolutely. This is that brings up something that I mentioned a couple of years ago as well, where I believe that there are enough people that we wouldn't need to worry about all of these agendas that they're bringing forward. Historically, it only takes 6% of a population to overthrow the local governance. Only 6%. The reason why we're not doing it is because we're still so divided. We need to come together. We need to
Right.
just recognize that, as much as it's easy for us to believe that, he said or she said that we weren't going to get along because they are doing it the wrong way. We have to set all that stuff aside. There is not a right way of doing this. The only right way is to collaborate and all find our own way.
Yes. It's to agree that what we want is freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And what that freedom looks like in everybody's life is going to be a little bit different.
No harm, no loss, no damage.
Right. That's really the only thing I feel, Audrey Lynn. That's the whole thing. Let's cause no harm, do no loss, and no damage. And let's just find our way. That's 6%. Maybe that's what we're hunting for.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, it's not the ones that are fighting against the old system, though.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's those who are, let's just go do our own PMAs. Let's go do our own constitutions. Let's go do our own, whatever they're doing to get out of the system. Those are the ones we're looking for. It's not the fighters. It's the ones we're looking for that are just slowly getting out and doing their own thing. So it's looking for, I guess that's more what I'm looking for. Like when I went to Mojo's yesterday, I'm just looking for people that are sick of the bullshit and just want to get out of it and just say, I'm done.
Yeah.
Right. And then bring them all together.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like this lady in Red Deer just wants to get out, is just tired of the whole fight and the worrying and the, that they're going to take the house or take the whatever, or take the, the IDs and blah, blah, blahs.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where the direction I'm going to go is more, who are you? Where, what's your thinking? Oh, you're kind of like us? Okay. Let's kind of all get together and just have a little chit chat about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Even though your direction may not be the same, your process may not be the same. We're all going in the same direction.
Yes.
Anyway, just my thoughts.
There is no jest. Your thoughts are valid.
Mm-hmm. And thank you. Thank you. I completely agree.
We got to put that shit aside. Right? And just all look at the big goal. Look at the big goal.
Yes, indeed.
And just bring those who don't have a community. That was her thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like, I'm just thinking this myself. I'm seeing this all stuff myself. I'm, but yet I don't know anybody else.
Yeah.
It just seems the conversations just seem to come up with me, if they're in the same mindset. If they're not, I definitely can tell right away, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you don't go there, but yeah, it helping people find their community to get out of this. And so when we do have that 6%, how do we know? And how can we just slide in there and
The renewal of the mind is all it takes. It really does. You know, for different people, I think it's they're on a different timeline. Maybe it's a spectrum, you know, of belief in the state versus the recognition that to believe in the state is folly. There's a big chasm between the two poles, and I think people will go through that in their own time. I'm encouraged at some of the there's prospects that are rising forward, especially out of that Regina event, where now there's a recognition within this organizer who put the event on and has been organizing all kinds of different events since COVID. She got to learn from Wayne the fraud of Canada. And that was a pivotal moment for her where she recognized, oh, then my focus here to bring more attention to political solutions is misguided. That is a big step for people. And she made it. And that's great because she's an organizer. She's a doer. She puts things together and can rally people together for events. That's wonderful. In the context of being able to help bring governance to our nation, that is very encouraging. And I think that can help galvanize a people, because now it's a tour, right? She wants to set up, instead of just doing a great big event, come to Regina for this event. She wants to go to all of the rural communities and host these events, teaching them individually how to form your own constitution. That's what we've been calling for since before COVID. It's perfect.
I was in contact with a lady here, and she just messaged me that did some stuff during the whole COVID and, and all of after and whatever. I don't think she came to any of your events, but she was friends with Jennifer, who used to own the Bourbon House.
Yeah.
And she rallied a bunch of people together. I don't think she's in the fight, right? Still.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think they have to get out of, is the fight to save the old system.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They have to switch their mind to the old system will never work. It will never be fixed.
Correct. It's not. It is, in fact, it's not broken. The old system's not broken. It's simply been established deliberately to serve other purposes, in foreign purposes.
Yes.
So it's doing actually exactly what it's supposed to do. The system works amazingly well. The problem is that people think it's supposed to work for them. That's the mental limitation.
Mm-hmm.
The system's not broken. Canada itself works incredibly well. It's like remember when Trudeau said diversity is our strength? He wasn't lying. By bringing diversity into the country, it was incredibly bolstering the strength of Trudeau's agenda. So he was not lying. It's just people thought that he was talking about our strength as in Canadians, and he wasn't. He was saying our strength as globalists. And so, another thing I liked how Wayne introduced this idea to that organizer was saying, I can see the fight that you're taking on. My question to you is, do you want to fight or do you want to win? Because you can fight that system all you want. it is the distraction.
Mhm.